Hello, my name is Alex, and this is Journeys Through Time, the challenges and solutions that I've come across along the way. And if this is the first time you've seen me, welcome. Please do like and subscribe and see the journey so far. And if you are returning, welcome back. This is episode 37. In the last episode, we were talking about the power of feedback, and there are many elements of it. It's all around conversation and measuring uh, what you do along the way and exchanging the differences between what you expect to happen versus what actually happens and being okay with this. Another area which is a relation of this is pricing. What do you charge for your products or services? Now, pricing isn't just about, ka-ching, what happens when the transaction occurs. Uh, Pricing is is also there to provide you with information and guidance as to what you should be doing in the future. Because the long and the short of it is, whilst uh, we may be doing it for the money, um, it's not about the money. You know, the money is the consequence of something you did before, and that is providing someone or somebody with some value. You are exchanging your product or service for a sum of money, and pricing information is really testing. It is testing the temperature of the water, but it's also a test of what a prospective customer actually wants. And it usually begins with problems or painful situations that they are dealing with. Perhaps they're stuck in a never-ending circle, the one that drives people crazy. Um, they perhaps think that by repeating sets of actions, eventually something will work out the way they originally intended. But a lot of the time, just going around and around and around, could be said, as someone said 100 years ago, it could be the definition of madness. Or perhaps the situation is it feels like you've reached a dead end. There's there's no way out of a given situation. But really, um, there's always another way to look at something. And if you're in, a tricky situation, it's about identifying ineffective actions. It's understanding why things happen, and it's about recognizing the symptoms. Now, the person experiencing that may not necessarily be aware of it until it's pointed out to them. So awareness um, is often the starting point. Some people are very self-aware and will realize they need to make a change, but sometimes you have to point it out to people. And the way forward, well, it may seem obvious to say so, but obviously you need to stop the ineffective actions. But on its own, this is not necessarily enough to stop people taking ineffective actions. I heard a saying once about somebody sitting on a nail. You think, well, why would anybody want to sit on a nail or to stop sitting on a nail, even though it's painful? Well, the nail wasn't, painful enough uh, for people to stop taking that action. So you need to find levers that um, make people willing to take the next step. You know, what's the cost? What is the cost of carrying on with ineffective action? Is it the dollars and cents, the pounds and pence? Is it, time? Is time an element? Are you always feeling busy? Um, is it a question of trusting yourself or trusting another process that you don't know much about? And of course, it could also be about people trusting themselves. And of course, the part of a process is giving people confidence in themselves. I think self-belief, uh, like the example I gave earlier of people being self-aware, some people are also capable of trusting the situation and therefore giving themselves belief. But again, um, if if you're not self-aware, you might not necessarily also have that in a belief, but you can, through seeing the process and seeing how it works, you can actually develop self-belief. You can always uh, you can always break out of a circle. You can always do a U-turn if you feel that you're at a dead end. Um, my grandmother famously said to me that, if you don't like the set of cards that you dealt, you can always, get yourself another deck. Um, the game is never over. The last the last thing I'd mention about pricing for information and guidance is this whole question versus high versus low. Should you charge really a high amount, and therefore, the right people will know it's high for a reason, and therefore, that's a good um, that's a good starting point. Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I think it can be very industry uh, specific. And if you are incredibly accurate in terms of your audience, starting high can be a good strategy. Um, but but a lot of times, um, you know, knowing your audience precisely, it isn't always, something that people start with. So, but high pricing, I've noticed, does create it certainly does create curiosity, but does it create the right kind of curiosity? I always think this is interesting. So starting low or lower, it has the advantage of providing you with a degree of validation. Does an idea or solution attract people? So starting low is a good way to test that. And depending on the amount of interest, it's all about measuring. We've covered measuring before, but you do need to have that kind of mindset. You are testing the reaction of the market, and if you're not getting a reaction, then it's two elements. It's um, setting the bar at a reasonable level, but checking that you've got your audience correct and that you're looking in the correct places. Because once you've found an entry point, now you can start thinking about growing and adding additional value. And that, of course, uh, is the best time to put prices up when you're adding value. And I may well do an episode on value pricing specifically. But I think for now, that is the how you can use pricing for information and guidance. It's more than just transactional. You want to know what you're offering is what your audience are looking for, and it matches the potential um, demands of the industry that you work in. So that's pricing. Okay, catch you later.